Hey everyone, welcome back for one final special round of grinding with our special guest.
Hey everybody, it's JamieTheD.
And look at that, we're already half done with one of the special folks.
Yeah, also that ending.
Yeah.
Gotta say, Scarecrow thought that through about as well as young Cecilia did.
Well, she was only a kid.
True.
5 years old?
Yeah. And to be fair, I think we've all thought something similar at some point when we were little.
Yeah, I mean, when I was little, I used to think I was funny.
But you are, Nito.
Well, maybe now, but I wasn't then.
Yeah.
So that was me trying to set up a folk palette, only to realize that I didn't have the folk I was trying to build up in there anywhere.
Oops.
And it actually turns out that there is an easier way to fight Shefro. Slightly easier.
Well, now you know.
Yep. But she also spawns a number of Ogma. I need to kill Ogma with our first of our dungeon trial folks, Colbrand.
Yeah, Colbrand and another one we'll see later on, Calabolg, are sort of referring to the same thing. I say sort of because of one of those other fun things about mythological and folkloric studies. That it involves language, and sometimes people can't even agree on language. So both of them meant to refer to Caliburn, which is one of the swords that King Arthur uses in Arthurian myth. Now, whether it's the same sword as Excalibur is again disputed. But it's generally agreed to be the sword in the stone. The sword that basically says, hey, this is the true king of England. Although, again, true king of seems to vary with the country.
So that would mean that potentially Excalibur wasn't the sword in the stone.
Yes. Yes. There is... To put it delicately, there is a lot of discussion on the subject. Yeah, you could have wrestling matches based on that. There's so much strong feeling about it. So, yeah, different names for Caliburn. We agree that it comes from Caled Volch, which is Welsh, or Breton, or the Breton Caled Volch. Calesvol, from Middle Cornish. But Calabolg is again disputed by some people, even though it's pretty clear to me that, yes, they do share a common etymology. Some people have said, no, it's just parallel evolution of language, man. Well, it's certainly not a generic name for a sword, because we have one of those. In Welsh, the generic name for a sword is clefeth. Not Caled Volch, which translates to hard cleft. And on top of that, on top of, Welsh being a very literal language, we are also very close neighbours with the Irish. We've gone to war quite a few times. We share quite an ancestry together. We're even united in our hatred of the dirty sice. Oh, wait, that was racist. Sorry. So, yeah, Arthurian myth in general is hella argued, because you've got the French Le Mort d'Arthur, We've got the Mabinogion, which in its written form was discovered around 1100, but we're pretty sure there was an oral tradition before that. So the Arthurian myth might be hella old. Calabolg is a sword borne by several figures from Irish mythology. So it could be, a heroic sword that has passed down through history, all over the British Isles and Brittany and Germany, where Kolbrand is the Germanic name. Yeah. It's a big old mess.
Certainly sounds like it.
Yeah, but we like it like that. Speaking of big old messes, have we seen a Dwergar yet?
Yeah, that's the one that I'm using as a melee attack against the Hankies
yes,
here.
I see it on the right. Yes. So, Dwergar are another one. Mostly it's our old friend post-Christianization that causes the confusion. Because Dwergar are Norse dwarves. Now, myths again differ. The poetic Edda poem Vluspa. By the way, apologies to any Scandinavians, I'm going to mangle your language. I know this. Says that dwarves are the product of the blood of the primordial beings Brimir and Blin, generally considered to be different names for the primordial being Emir. So, again, we've already got some semantic confusion. However, the Prose Edda says that dwarves are similar to maggots that festered in the flesh of Emir before the gods gave them brains. There are over 100 dwarf names over the Edda. But 4 of them are particularly important. Norori, Shori, Ostri, and Vestri. North, south, east, and west. Can you take a guess as to what they do, Nidoking?
Escort Bilbo to meet the dragon Smog?
Well, slightly more important than that.
Control the winds.
They hold up the sky at each of the cardinal directions. Obviously, mapping hadn't gotten that far back then. However, just to add to the fun, there are also these Svartalfar, in Old Norse, black elves, which might be the same individuals, might just live in the same place as Svartalfar Hamir. Himmer, even. Looks-wise, there are very few female dwarves, so Tolkien managed that much. But, good God, they've gotten around. Very, very few of them are explicitly noted as dwarves. But, there have been murderous guys who created the Mead of Poetry, which, give us a moment. The Mead of Suttungr, or Suttungr, is a mythical beverage that whoever drinks becomes a skald, or scholar, to recite any information or solve any question. And it's associated with both Odin and Berserker Rage. So, Poetic Inspiration, Berserker Rage, we've known about the link for a very long time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember Odin, didn't he give one of his eyes to drink that?
He gave his eye for wisdom. I can't remember if he gave one of his eyes to drink it.
Well, it was a story I remember, but I think it was a Choose Your Own Adventure book. So.
Right, so, yeah. So, one of them was, created the Mead of Poetry. Some of them are reluctant donors, and I love how the Wikipedia, on which I'm taking the basics, I love how there's quote marks around reluctant donors of important artifacts with magical qualities. Good example of an operatic one would be the Ring of the Nibelung, which gave you lots of power so long as you renounced love. So, as Phil and Carjafolio pointed out, one of the best ways to get someone to drop the Ring of the Nibelung is to give them chocolate cake, because everyone loves chocolate cake. Well, except diabetics, and I suppose gluten intolerant.
Yeah, I'm supposed to avoid chocolate too.
Well, replace it with a cake you like. Or some food stuff. The point stands. They're primarily associated, though, with metalsmithing. Obviously, everyone knows that dwarves are forge masters and the like, because mythology has pounded it into our heads for many centuries. But also with death. The doorways in the mountains that dwarves guard may be regarded as doors between worlds. One dwarf in particular, Alvis, claimed the hand of Thor's daughter, Brur? It's kind of hard to pronounce that, but turned to stone in daylight, which means they might actually be a troll, not a dwarf? We don't know. Myth. It's filled with confusion, and never is that more apparent than when I'm talking about it. But, yeah. Now, the thing is, dwarves may not have been short. They've had names, pre-Christianization, they had names like Flanger, which means tall enough, or Herr, high.
I'm pretty sure that was sarcasm. Like, really early pre-Christian sarcasm.
It could have been, but, there were other names. But there is no mention in early Norse sources of them being short. It only got mentioned that they're short and ugly after Christianization.
Well, probably before the Christians came in, they were able to threaten to club the kneecaps of anyone who called them short.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, I mean, dwarves are generally good at kneecapping, so what makes the Christians any less prone to it?
Christians probably didn't care.
Well, I'm sure the ascetics and the flagellators didn't. But a lot of them might have done. But
maybe they didn't believe in the dwarves enough to worry about it. I don't remember anything about dwarves in the Bible.
Yeah, that would explain, those spontaneous kneecappings of history. Just, random saints and priests walking around and suddenly, my kneecaps!
I kind of think that was arthritis.
Disclaimer, that may or may not have actually happened. It is an exercise for the reader. Or viewer.
Well, speaking of exercise, we've moved on to Keats's folks. Ellen only gets 3 from Dungeon Trial. Keats gets a whole 4.
And this is Valiant.
Yep.
The only reference I could find that was even vaguely pertinent was Prince Valiant, which would take us right back to eternal myth, Arthurian myth. Eternal Arthurian myth. There's an idea
it kind
for
of is.
Yeah. And yeah, fun fact about Prince Valiant. Originally, the working title for Prince Valiant was Derek, son of Thane. I'm right proud of our Derek.
Sits right next to King Arthur, he does.
He does. And he's got a lion on it. Oh, wait, it's a horse on his shield. Oh, I'm losing my eyesight.
I made him a wee metal box to hold his lunch.
But, yeah, that was a really long-running comic set in the Arthurian era. 4,000 Sunday strips.
It's got nothing on this grind, trust me.
True.
I think I sped it up to 32 times normal speed.
And it's still going.
That's the first karma. Kill 50 enemies.
So,
now I need to defeat 99 for the second one.
Oh, no! So yeah, Prince Valiant is actually still going as a Sunday strip. Although the TV adaptation for Saturday morning cartoons, sadly, is no more. Rip Saturday morning cartoons. We miss you.
And you can also see Dwergar a bit here. For Keats, it's a continuous attack that gets bigger with each successive hit.
Nice.
Although I've only got 2 hits right now. For Ellen, it was more like a Rhineck attack, attacking in 4 directions at once.
Ah, yeah.
And since you can't finish building it up until you get to Chapter 5, it really doesn't have a whole lot of advantage over Rhineck.
Shame, really. It seems to be a pattern with a lot of the new folks that they don't really get a fair shake.
Well, the advantage is you can get most of them at pretty much any time after you finish Chapter 1.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's not... Well, there is a lot I could say about Prince Valiant. But, honestly, it started off fairly well written. It's still going. It's still fairly well written. It's gone through... Pardon me. It's gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 authors from its beginning in 1937 to today.
Well, I think we can cover everything we need to know with the answer to just one question. How much resemblance is there between Prince Valiant and He-Man?
Only similar-ish. For example, Prince Valiant is not muscle-bound and half-naked. Well, mostly naked.
Not interested anymore.
I know. He had a good theme song, though. No? No, obviously
He didn't
not.
have Orko.
Lots of things didn't have Orko.
Yeah, lots of things aren't all that good.
Well, I'll definitely agree with you on Thundercats. Because Thundercats had Schnarf. And Schnarf was annoying as hell.
I don't remember Snarf all that well. There's this great big Snarf-shaped hole in my memory of Thundercats.
Yeah, that's probably from trauma of just listening to Schnarf, Schnarf.
That hole has just been filled in. I really wish you hadn't done that.
Yeah, I'm kind of regretting it myself. So, really, there's only one folk left, sadly.
Yep, and we'll be seeing him momentarily. I think most of Alphard's karmas are built up in the Netherworld core.
Yeah, Alphard is, technically the Hydra? I say technically because, Alphard is the name of, Alpha Hydrae, the brightest star in the constellation Hydra. It's from the Arabic, solitary one, because, hey, there are no other bright stars nearby. It's pretty alone in how much of an LP superstar it is.
Yeah, well, then again, even stars that are close to each other in the night sky are like millions of light years apart.
Yeah.
But they may not have known that back then.
Nowadays, with plenty of fish, they know exactly how far away they are, give or take 50 miles. But, yeah, it's got lots of little names. It was also known as the backbone of the serpent. Because it does form... Yeah, it does actually seem to form backbone of a snake. In ancient China, it was part of a thing called the red bird, and it was also called the heart of the snake, which, again, looks anatomically correct.
Well, snakes are so thin, there's not much space between their heart and their backbone.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, have we really had a chance to talk about Hydra?
Not that I can think of.
Oh, good. I'll go look that up right now, then.
Oh, well, Kalon Zombie's doing an LP of God of War, and I'm pretty sure he covered the Hydra in that.
Yeah, it is a very good LP. I would recommend it.
Alright, everybody pause the video, go watch that, and then come back.
You're stealing my thunder, Nido King.
I'm killing Fomor with Dwergar. It takes forever.
It does.
But now I got the full combo. Check this out.
I like it. I like it a lot.
No, actually, it's not the full combo.
Oh?
It was just the third hit. I forgot, this guy gets his combo attacks last.
Ooh. Well, since we're actually at the end, final thoughts on the game, maybe?
Sure, I mean, as much as the combat gets kind of repetitive, and I know a lot of people have said they quit because they didn't want to have to do all the grinding, most of the grinding is optional.
Yeah.
It's sort of on the same level as Dark Cloud for me. You know, the things that make the game really fun are not the repetitive combat parts.
Yeah, I mean, the story is pretty well written. The different types of shields, I actually like the different types of shields. I mean, I know you're currently using, oh god, I'm terrible with names.
Spriggan.
Yeah, just Spriggan right now, because it's pretty good. But there's a little something for everyone, gameplay-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might have liked another shield more like Agar Agar and
Yeah.
Cydia.
Yeah.
Where it was a bit more formalized, that it doesn't perfectly block damage, but it's cheap, it lets you move around. I just kind of wish that it had been more, you know, blocks an increased amount of damage or has a longer duration, rather than just uses less MC.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. The visual design, obviously, is beautiful. It's got a unique look, and,
I love the music.
and the music is gorgeous.
Even if the final ending theme doesn't appear on the soundtrack, it's still a good purchase if you can still find a copy.
Yep. Oh, just what you needed for Alphard. More charge time.
Well, I admit it's not great, and it's kind of inferior to Kraken, since instead of having a continuous stream, this time you have to charge up the stream before you start. But it probably has its uses, I just can't think of what they are right now.
Yeah. Ah.
Especially if you get it going into Chapter 2, that's actually a folk that you can use to break the ice barriers before you get into Chapter 3.
Now, the other thing I like about it is, you know, the world design. Because some people get, you know, the enemy design right, and then they fuck up the world design, and vice versa. But, yeah, they all mostly fit, and that is the creepiest laugh.
Whose laugh?
Talanthera's, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just has the creepy kind of chuckle. But yeah, there's a real sense of mystery to some of these worlds. For example, the patterns in the grass. What the hell are they for? We don't know, but they look mystic as hell.
I'm trying to remember whether this came out before or after the movie Signs.
Well, things in the ground to make patterns. I mean, oh,
Yeah, I know. They're
Yeah,
an ancient tradition.
yeah.
Going back at least as far as Illusion of Gaia.
Speaking of which, did you hear about the Greenpeace stunt?
Not familiar with it.
Well, they decided they were gonna make a new pattern in the area of the Nazca lines, and they walked there on foot to do it. Now, for those who don't know, you are not allowed to walk in the area of the Nazca lines, because the Nazca lines were formed by brushing off the ground to reveal white chalk underneath. So, Greenpeace, for a little bit of advertising, have damaged a National Heritage Monument, as far as I am aware.
Well, it doesn't sound too out of line for them. I mean, they're all about preserving nature, and anything that humans created is unnatural, right?
Well, I wish them the best of luck with the lawyers. Because the Nazca lines have been around a lot longer than Greenpeace.
And I'd like to say they'll probably last a lot longer, but that may not be true, apparently.
That
You remember our old friend Gargantua?
I do.
We're ending on Gargantua.
Well, at least we're using something similar to Gargantua to finish it all off.
Yeah, that is kind of the neat thing, is that most of the Dungeon Trial folks, if not all of them, are just reuses of the same models as other folks.
It's a sort of poetic justice, really. Yes. That's a good time to end on, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been JamieTheD.
And Nidoking.
See you soon.
Yeah, well, I'll be coming back with more videos shortly.
I may not be.
You are actually done with the series for now. It's been fun.
It's been fun.
And educational.